Hi, everyone. This is Sheila Kumar Hay of Ecstatic Birth, and I am so excited to share another conversation to transform birth with you today. Today, my guest is somebody really near and dear to my heart. It's Kendra E. Thornberry, who I've worked with as a client of hers. She's been my coach and mentor, and she has really supported me in knowing that I can create my own reality, especially when it comes to wealth and income. And I really want to share that with you today because I know right now in the midst of this pandemic, we're in this global contraction around money, around, there's this overwhelming story about the economy's going south, and I don't want to dismiss the fact that there are people that are facing financial hardship right now, but there's also this perspective, if you're listening to this, that you can create your own reality, that you don't have to jump on that ship that says, times are going to be hard, times are hard now, and they're going to be hard in the future. And so with that, I just really want to introduce you to Kendra Thornberry, because she is right now spearheading a wealthy goddess revolution. And I think we could all use a little bit of that. So welcome, Kendra.
Thank you, Sheila. So good to be here with you and all your guests, your community.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here. I feel like your voice is especially needed in the birth world because, money is one of those things. I think it's as maligned, if not more maligned, than sexuality in our world. And when you're working in the realm of the sacred, sometimes it's hard to reclaim those pieces that we might not recognize as sacred. So I was thinking we could just start right in that point, because I know you're so good at talking about the spiritual significance of money and the sacred nature of money. So what is it about money from your perspective that makes it sacred?
Such a great question. Well, before I answer that directly, I do want to again give thanks for you, Sheila, and all of the remarkable work that you're doing in the world. I so honor and have respect for your voice and your movement in the birth world. I do see it as one of the several pillars, if you will, that are integral to women's empowerment and liberation. And as you said, sexuality, which of course is so connected to women's birth, and money are so maligned and contorted and feared and manipulated. And so doing this work, coming together in this way, it just feels like such an honor. And it is really, as we unpack this a bit, we can discover and recognize how interrelated these aspects are. Because it really does come down to, in part, one of the cores is about our own power and our own sovereignty and our ability and capacity and embodiment of the knowledge that we have the birthright, we have the wisdom within our own beings to give birth to whatever it is that we set forth. That seed of life that is implanted within us, whether it is an actual, life within the womb that becomes a child, a baby, a child, or a dream, or a project, or a business, or money. Okay. So for me, money, to answer your question, is I've chosen to reinvent and create an entirely new mindset on money because I struggled with it for so many years, and it felt like it was of that world, the world that I'm a part of transforming, the world that I'm a part of reinventing, right? The world, not even that I'm reinventing, that's saying that paradigm is just not serving us. And so let's create a new. And that's the opportunity that we all have in this time of great awakening, is to be very deliberate and conscious about what it is that we individually and collectively want to give birth to. And so as far as facing, or not even facing, as far as entering into and discovering a relationship with money that has a spiritual or sacred nature, really that arose from, as I said, my own struggles with money. And I'm a spiritually oriented person, And the enrichment and the freedom and the peace of mind that I've attained is largely because I approach life from a spiritual vantage point. And I realized when I just couldn't get it together around money, I was still struggling to pay bills, in those early years of my business. I was like, am I a fraud? I couldn't get it to work as I had in other areas in terms of manifesting. I realized, because I was in a meditative state, and I was having a conversation with universe, God, source, like, come on, if you want me to do my work in the world, like if you want me to be on purpose and be an agent of change, I got to figure out this money game, right? Because it's a distraction. It was weighing me down at the time, and it preoccupied me. I'd lay awake at night. It'd be like, how am I going to figure out the money thing? So I had this revelation, Sheila, like it just like popped in. It was like, you're not treating money sacredly as you do other areas of your life. And what if you were to bring it into the fold of the sacredness that you so see other aspects of life with? What would be possible if you entered into a relationship with money that was elevated in spirit? So that's how it came to be. And I'll just pause there.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing
Yeah.
that. I love the invitation to really connect with money in that way.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing that comes to mind when I hear you say that is, how do we do that? Like, how did you come into relationship with that sacred nature of money? Because I think so many of us hold this belief that, oh, if we're doing something sacred, supporting women in birth, for example, we shouldn't be charging for it. Like like we feel bad. Like if it's sacred, we should just be giving it away. It's sacred. How could we charge money? And then it almost feels like a devaluation. And I know that's contrary from the way you perceive money. So how do we start to take steps towards really embracing money as sacred and also making the money that we deserve?
Yes. Ooh, so juicy. So I hear a couple of questions in there. Like you said, what are some of the steps that we can take? Because you want to be like, well, what can I do about that? Or how could I translate that into perhaps an action? And I'm also hearing this question, this inquiry that I know all of us tuned in have faced to one degree or another. Exactly what you said is the devaluing of our sacred work. Whatever it is that, I would say perhaps is your high and holy offer. And I hear a lot of women who are creatives, who are artists, who are healers that, as you said, have this consciousness, this mentality that somehow it makes it bad or wrong to put a price tag on it. So the deal is that we do live on an earthly plane, that right now there are systems and structures set up for us to play by, one of which is money. It doesn't mean, and I haven't elected to play it by others' rules in the sense of, I have to contort myself or be someone I'm not, or I have to play a marketing game and be inauthentic in order just to, to get the sale. I mean, I'm really passionate about and vocal about the possibilities and the realities of truly being aligned with our own design, and that being a prosperous endeavor. So in terms of the steps to take, I think there's a couple of things. One is to challenge yourself. And what I mean by that is to be willing, be willing to ask what may feel like confrontational questions to yourself. We are so attached to the way we think. And we create identities around our mindsets. And we say, well, this is the way it is, right? So in order to be spiritual, I need to be broke. In order to be a healer, I need to be a martyr, okay? These kinds of, these mindsets that I perceive, and again, you know, you can choose whatever you want from this, but this is my journey. I think it reinforces a lack and poverty mentality that robs us of the fulfillment of the work that we're here to do. And therefore our gifts are not able to be spread as widely as needed and necessary for our planet to truly change and give birth to an earth in which all people prosper and thrive and flourish. Starting with our babies, right? Starting with, I mean, if a woman in her body temple really is still buying into the mentality of poverty, that she doesn't know, she doesn't have value, she doesn't have the wisdom within her to create. It's the same thing with money. So what I want for you to do is, if you're willing, is to, you know, get out a journal, do some writing, and be willing to ask the questions, you know, is it true? You know, so write down whatever you might consider as your negative money beliefs, or the ones that feel limiting, or that you recognize on some level, you know what, that belief just, you know, it keeps me stuck. It plateaus my income level. And just, you know, be with the belief, and then ask, you know, is that true?
Yeah.
And ask, how does it keep me safe to keep believing that? Because
Okay.
we don't believe or maintain anything that on some level doesn't serve us. And that's a difficult part of facing change sometimes.
I just got so inspired by
Okay,
everything you
yeah,
just
let's
said,
go.
because what I'm actually hearing you say is that, you know, we absorb all these beliefs
Yes.
and we internalize them, and we think that those are the rules, or that's what's true, but there actually is no truth. What I'm hearing you say is that if we uncover our beliefs, that we can create our own truth. And I think this is really, really empowering. So to tie it into this moment in time, when there are all these beliefs around us about, oh, times are really hard right now, oh, you know, maybe that translates into, I'm not going to be able to make much money in the year ahead, right? Like there's a lot of that swirling around right now. So if I uncover this belief that, you know, times are really hard right now, and I'm just not going to be able to make that much money in the year ahead, can I just rewrite that, or what do I do? How do I shake that off and create my reality?
Absolutely. You said it. You said it. Can I just rewrite that? Yes, 100%. So here's the deal, everyone. It's all made up. And the powers that were, as I call them, they count on people prescribing to whatever beliefs that are reinforced. So for instance, through the media, right? Through the news channels. I personally, because I've studied psychology and the subconscious and the power of the mind, you know, I can see how we are being inundated with and infiltrated and penetrated by a mindset that is fear-based. And when we live in fear, we are contracted. We are living in our limits. And, you know, our gaze is like this. And we really stay in the part of our brain, you know, our reptilian survival part of the brain that just wants to hoard, you know, it just wants to, like, you know, let's shelter, which is happening, you know, and stock up. And you know what, I'm not dissing that some of those things might need to be practical steps given what's going on. Okay. You know, I don't want to sound like a, you know, extreme here and diss at all. I mean, I think that there are cycles to life, and there are ways that we need to be aware of the context that we live within. However, if we as mighty, magnificent women, if we all buy into the narrative that we don't have influence, that we don't have power, that we don't have any control over our future or our destiny, what's going to happen? We are going to allow that denominator, that dominating consciousness we're all just going to react to it. We're all just going to say, oh, okay, the economy is going to be difficult for a while. So, let me just go along with that. It's BS, Sheila. I know I'm just like, I get on my sacred rants about this stuff.
It's
The
so
power is within you.
the power is within us. And I'm just,
Yes.
just getting all kinds of chills because everything you just said, like in my mind, I was like, in birth, right?
Yes.
Everything you just said about money and about creating our own
Yep.
reality is exactly what I share about in birth, right? Like when you are approaching, when you are surrounded by fear, it contracts your body. It makes your process so much harder in the birthing room. When
Yes.
you take in all the messages and you become powerless, you become a part of a system that might not be created in your best interest, that might not be serving you. This is true in childbirth. So I really want to highlight everything that Kendra's saying because, as her client, I've actually internalized this. I've done this work, and it's just a game. It's all just a game. It's all make believe, and it's all we're playing, right? Not that the world around you is make believe, but that you can actually create the world around you through play, through your pleasure, through your joy. And these are really, really powerful forces that we've been taught to just disregard, throw away. Oh, that's for children. Play is for children. And, conscious creation, that's not possible because there are systems and structures that we need to adhere to. And that's not true. Like if you are seeing things in your world right now that feel like, ugh, and there's a lot going on right now that we can look at and just kind of go, ugh, like we don't need to adhere to that. Like each of us has the power to shift that. And that's what I love so much, Kendra, about your work and what you're saying, because you're really empowering each person to begin within themselves. Like, what are your beliefs? What are the things that are keeping you contracted on many different levels? And how can you begin to rewrite that? Kendra, I'm wondering
well said.
if you could share, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you
No, it's
share,
just well said.
after your reflections, a little bit about what you're doing right now in the Wealthy Goddess Revolution.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for asking. Oh, well, I do want to, because I feel like, and I always weave things together here. So I appreciate the invitation to talk about that, and it's related. And I want to talk just a little bit more about when you asked about how to make money sacred. Okay. So to me, a revolution, an evolution, if you will, is an absolute imperative right now within and collectively, in order for us to align with life-giving, life-affirming principles. To me, it's about recognizing that there is a natural world order, if you will. There are natural laws, and we are a part of that. We are an expression of it. Personally, I believe that a lot of the systems, including in the birth world, have been constructed in a way that creates struggle. It creates burden. It creates lack, because it's on some level it's insanity, because it is the antithesis of the goddess given force of life to be expressed in and through everything that we do. I had a very difficult birth. I just thought of that popped in when you were saying that, Sheila, about being around the fear. There was a lot of fear in the room. I was in a military hospital, and my mom was not allowed to bring my dad in, and there was just all this stuff going on. And so I've done a lot of healing work around my birth. But at any rate, I think part of our relationship with money is taking charge. It's taking control, just like it is in birth, and saying, this is what I want. This is my vision. These are my boundaries. These are the terms that I'm going to live in and around and through. And nobody, no external authority knows better than me than my own self. And so it's so important when we're entering into and ushering in a relationship that's sacred with money is that you understand that what I mean by that is that money elevates your well-being, that money is an ally to your purpose, and to really adopt that and embrace that and recognize that money wants to serve you. And it's just one of a variety of resources that can bring forth the best of what you have to offer. So with that, in terms of what I'm doing, I mean, gosh, I'm going into my 15th year of business. And this time of awakening has just stoked my fire, at another level, and recognizing that some of the things that are transpiring right now brings another level of urgency. And I don't mean that in a fear-based way, but we do need to, I believe, wake up and recognize that, if we don't take the reins, if we keep bowing down in our victim consciousness and saying, oh, okay, that's what's happening, we will not be leaving a legacy our lives will be very compromised, but we will also not be able to leave a legacy for our children and our children's children, in which, life on earth is dignified. So it's a big picture. Let's look at the next 7 generations and what we're putting in motion here. And I turned 50 this month, and so I kicked off this big giveaway, and I've been, this is my 5th week, just offering content to empower women. So did I answer your question? I know I go big picture yeah.
Let me highlight, because you said so
You
much.
highlight, yeah.
So first, Kendra, for those of you that are watching, Kendra has a Facebook page where she's been going live every day and sharing a lot of this inner work to make money sacred, how to consciously create your reality around money, and really everything. So I'm going to put the link for that in the notes for this. So I invite you all to check it out. That's totally free and super, super generous of Kendra. So thank you, Kendra, for offering
pleasure.
That. And when I think about what you said, I mean, when you think about even just the words wealthy goddess, right? Yeah. You're bringing money, goddess, sacred together, right? There's a reclamation there. And I do think that in this time, I'm big on the birth metaphors. So right now I see us all in the birthing field. There's something new that wants to come forward. And we're all in the birthing field right now. We're all feeling the contractions. We're all in labor. And if we do succumb to the fear and the numbing and the avoidance and all of that, like Kendra said, there's that what we're creating is going to feel very disempowered. Just like, if you have that disempowered birth experience, you enter motherhood, not really connected in the way that you need to be able to birth that baby. So birth is a rite of passage. I think globally, we're going through a major rite of passage right now, and we get to decide, like, what's the outcome of that? How are we going to meet the contractions? Are we going to meet them with avoidance and fear and numbing? Or are we going to meet the contractions, like, let them flow through us, let them remake us? And if you're feeling scared about money, if you're feeling scared about your health, if you're feeling scared about your future, if you're, any of these pieces, the state of childbirth, has really come into question in a lot of areas. If you're feeling nervous about these things, well, how can you resource? How can you really feel that and allow yourself to be a part of the solution? And that's really what this is about, is to be able to come out on the other side of this contraction feeling really empowered. And I think there's a huge opportunity right now, especially in relation to money, because that contraction feels so deep. There's a really big opportunity right now to say, you know what, like, I'm not willing to have this disempowered situation continue into the future. And so I'm going to step in and do the inner work I need to do in order to become as wealthy as I need to be, in order to have the impact that I want. And the other thing that you said that I really, really want to highlight is, if you're in survival, if you're trying to just survive, like if you're just trying to get through the contraction, if you're just trying to make this month's expenses, you never really have enough overflow to make the impact you want. And one of the things, Kendra, that you talk about all the time is it's our responsibility to actually be wealthy so that we can have the impact we want, so that we can share our gifts with the world. And I just want you to talk a little bit about that, just because you're so like passionate about that. And just run with it.
Oh, I love it. I love everything you've shared, Sheila. Brilliant, brilliant. Oh, I adore you. So the one of the words that you use that I want to, you know, go highlight more down this trail with you is resourced. Okay. So for me, in part, creating an empowered relationship with money is recognizing that it's a resource, and the idea that we have it or we don't is an aspect of poverty mentality, and it stems from what I see as, or would name as, a relationship with external authority rather than internal authority. And you know this from the birth world. I mean, what you're doing is you're empowering women. You all are a part of empowering yourselves and each other, your clients, for those of you who are practitioners that work with Sheila or are going to work with her and her ecstatic birth work. You know, this it's just it's critical. It's why we're here right now, and to recognize that we are resourced. We can create, we are sourced with whatever is needed and necessary to be well, to be healthy, to be alive, to provide for our families, to nourish our bodies, to do the great work that we're here to do in the world. So absolutely. And I decided a long time ago to not prescribe to any and all mentality that has to do with lack and poverty. Nature shows us that it's wealth and rich. Its bounty is glorious. It's beautiful. It's ever flowing and ever giving and omnipresent. And that in itself was part of how I brought the sacred into my relationship with money, is that, you know, I look to nature as a guide, as a teacher, and it shows me wealth all of the time, all of the time. And, you know, Mother Earth knows much more about consciousness and living and providing and resourcing than any human does. You know what I mean? So, yeah, did I answer your question?
Yeah,
I feel like we could spend hours together. So, oh, let me just talk about investing. You know, when it comes to charging, because I know that was a topic you brought up a little bit ago, you know, you can diversify your business models. You can ensure that you are resourced enough in your business and in your livelihood so that you have a variety of ways and channels to give of your money. I mean, for me, becoming a businesswoman, you know, I had two goals. One is to create the lifestyle I love, and the other is to create a legacy. I'm a humanitarian at heart, and the whole reason I became a businesswoman is that I want to have more influence. As you said, I believe it's our responsibility to be wealthy. And it's not just about money. It's a mindset. It's a being set. It's a way of showing up and leading our lives, our businesses, our families. So at any rate, I think it's so old paradigm, and it's so broken to believe that the value of what you have to give is not worth putting a dollar amount on, that not only brings more of you out, because I know for me, and my clients have expressed this, that when you start charging higher dollar amounts for what you do, you know, you show up with a greater, I do, with another level of excellence. Yeah. And the people that you serve value what you have. And so what I mean by diversify is that, as you know, Sheila, I mean, you know, you can have various ways that you give, so that, you know, you can give to people that may not be able to afford certain tiers of your services. And, you know, and you can raise the money through your businesses to give generously to causes, which is one of the things that I do. So I think investing in yourself is one of the best ways that you can make sure that you have permanent prosperity. You know, we are in this economy, this breakdown, this reset, and it has to happen. This has to be occurring right now, because what's occurring on the planet is not sustainable. All right. So, you know, in 2008, 2009, the last time the economy crashed, that's when I started making more money. that's when my business started to take off. And likewise, I know you, Sheila, the last couple of months, your income is raising. Like, let's decide what we want to create and do it. And investing in yourself has a return on investment that enables you to be resourceful. I mean, the more you work on yourself, the more you're going to create longevity in your relationship with money and wealth.
Yeah, I just really want to echo that. And I'm so
Yep.
grateful that you brought that forward, because I've found myself personally, the more I invest in myself, the more I surround myself with support, the more I put myself in communities where I can be supported with like-minded people holding a vision for me, the more I prosper. So I really, really want to echo that. And put out an invitation actually for anyone that is a birth worker that does want to be a part of this transformation that we need to create in the birth world, to join my ecstatic birth practitioner training that's starting in June. And this is a space where we are going to tap into our own inner authorities. This is the core of the program, because that is the gift that we want to give to our moms, right? That's the gift that we want to bring into the birthing room for our expectant moms, to really learn how to source from that place of inner authority. And so we need to take that journey for ourselves first. So that's part of, this is a year-long program. That's part of the container. The journey is for you first and foremost, to nourish your body, to tap into your inner authority, and to expand in pleasure, because we are all significantly undernourished in pleasure. And pleasure, as you will learn if you join the training, is one of the most holistic birthing tools there is. And I also want to speak to what Kendra was saying about diversifying your offerings. So right now, I'm offering a completely free video training series for anybody that would like to learn more about how to integrate pleasure in the birthing field, how to begin that journey with your own inner authority, how to support it in others, and how to nourish your body all along the way. So I'm going to put the links in for all of that into this under, in these comments as well, for those of you that would like to join. And the training you can see at ecstaticbirth.pro. So Kendra, thank you for giving me that that opening to be able to share.
Oh, absolutely. It's so important. I know I keep saying absolutely. I hear myself. I've said that a lot today. It's like, yes,
we're all in it.
If you feel the inclination, you feel the desire, the interest, the call, to take Sheila up on her offer, I really encourage you to do it. I think that the work that you're doing, Sheila, is some of the most cutting edge, pioneering work that we have on this planet. And it is a part of the reclamation of the divine feminine that's occurring right now. So thank you again. I really champion what you're doing. And so thank you. Yeah.
Likewise, I so honor you and what you're bringing forward. Is there anything you want to share before we conclude the conversation?
Oh, well, when you said, I had chills when you said that it, I don't know exactly how you said it, but the pleasure is one of the biggest tools of holistic childbirth. And, I think the childbirth, the sexuality, the money, it's all the same. I mean, you can't see my hands, but I'm down here. My hands are on my womb and they're down here. They're feeling my pelvis, this whole region of creation, these lower chakras. It's why money and sexuality, it's all interconnected. And, a woman in her pleasure is unstoppable. A woman in her pleasure is unstoppable. And so, let's also leave this conversation, feeling not only empowered, but elevated by the possibilities of what we can deliberately create for ourselves, for our families, for this planet, when we enter into a sacred, pleasurable relationship with money, because it brings joy, it brings feeling good vibes, and that there's a magnetism to that, there's just, it's a part of a woman's divine power and force. Yeah. And thank you again for the invite. This has been such a wonderful co-creation, Sheila. I appreciate you.
Great. So great. I just feel like reclamation on so many levels, in relation to our pleasure, in relation to our sexuality, in relation to money, in relation to childbirth, and it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. Thank you, Kendra. Thank you so much for coming and doing this with me today. And thank you all for being with us and joining us. Lots of love, everyone.
Bye.